Democrats and Republicans are in the middle of negotiating a long-term deal to fund the government. Now, the deal signed earlier this week was only a short-term extension of federal funding. Now, I've been on for this quite a bit. In it, Democrats did get an extension of CHIP for about 6 years. That's good, but it's also incredibly popular among both parties, and it was very likely that was going to pass anyway. I mean, traditionally, CHIP funding would go through without any fanfare. It was just a given. It's no longer a given now. This time, Republicans decided, hey, you know what? We're not gonna fund CHIP. Back in September, when they actually had the chance, and of course, Democrats and activists were bringing it up. Hey, why don't you reauthorize CHIP? Why don't you fund CHIP? Yeah, we'll get to it. The only reason that they didn't fund it is so that they could hold it hostage for budget negotiations, which again, we've been doing stopgap measures for funding the government since September. This isn't an accident, okay? Not an accident. So what the Republicans did is that they decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to pit sick kids versus DACA recipients. It's a disgusting move, but it's something that we should absolutely expect out of Republicans because we've seen it more before, right? So they planned this in advance. They planned the DACA fight in advance when Donald Trump said, we're just going to send it to Congress, right? They knew what they were doing. They also knew, more importantly, or most importantly, that the Democrats are weak and the Democrats were going to fold. And that's exactly what happened. Now, speaking of folding, we go to today, an article in Politico. The Democrats have just agreed to fold again. They have preemptively folded. Oh, that's amazing. Okay. According to Politico, Senate Democrats announced that they are willing to drop their demand that relief for Dreamers be tied to any long-term budget agreement. Now, look, I've been in favor of a clean dream deal, right? A clean dream act. We could do it today. There's 70 to 80% public support. There's no reason we couldn't do it. But of course, Republicans, they don't want to do it. Some of their members, the Freedom Caucus, for example, are filled with monstrous people that don't give a shit about DACA recipients, about Dreamers. So, look, if the Democrats actually want to advance anything, yes, then they would have to tie it to a long-term budget deal. But are they willing to do that? No, of course not. Now, the shift, they write, comes in response to a deal struck between Senate leaders on Monday to reopen the government and begin debate on an immigration bill next month. So they're referring to the deal with Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell, you're going to believe Mitch McConnell? Mitch McConnell lies to his own members. That's Suzanne Collins. So he lies to his own caucus, his own members. And what? The Democrats are just going to believe him? Yes, they are that stupid. Look, there is no... I promise I'm going to give you an agreement in good faith. Bullshit. There will be no good faith negotiation. There are no negotiations with Mitch McConnell there in good faith. He is a consummate politician, but he also lacks complete empathy. And this is a guy who's like, my only job, back when Barack Obama was president, is to make Obama one-term president. He's dedicated in doing so. Anyway, and you're going to believe him. So the Democrats, they fell for it, right? Oh, yes, of course, Mitch McConnell. We could trust the honorable gentleman from Kentucky. Well, so here's Dick Durbin, right? Saying just that. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's procedural concession, he calls it a concession, means we've got a deadline and a process. That's not a concession. Saying, oh, yeah, we'll take it up later. We promise we'll give you a vote. That's not a concession. But no, Democrats, look, I showed you a video yesterday of Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Well, it wasn't yesterday. There's a recent interview with Debbie Wasserman Schultz where she's like, well, we got momentum. You got momentum? No, you didn't get momentum. The Republicans are laughing at you because you're weak and you folded, you capitulated, you rolled over. And they know it. Again, they're laughing at you, right? Now, Durbin continues. He says, That to me is a significant step forward. It's not everything I wanted, that's for sure, but it's a step forward. No, you asked for nothing and you received less than nothing. Less than nothing. Congratulations. What wonderful negotiators you are. Wonderful. You must be very proud. And now, look, you're willing to, on this budget deal, since you're not tying DACA in with a long-term spending plan, well then, you're throwing 800,000 people under the bus. It's gross. But as you're going to see, it actually gets worse than that. Budget negotiators, according to Politico, are expressing optimism that any 2-year agreement to lift stiff caps on defense and domestic spending is within reach. Now, why does that sound bad? Defense spending. Negotiators have already agreed to a massive boost in the Pentagon's budget. Multiple sources say that Congress will raise military spending by at least $70 billion above the caps for fiscal 2018 and $80 billion for fiscal year 2019. So not only have the Democrats dropped DACA from any of this deal, right, and they believe Mitch McConnell, but now they're like, oh, we're just going to give away billions of dollars, $70 billion to the military, and then $80 billion next year to the military above the caps. Now, how do you agree with that? What kind of negotiation is this? It's a negotiation brought to you by a corrupt government that works for the defense contractors. Now, what about domestic spending, right? So one of the things that the Democrats were arguing for in the last deal before they capitulated, they said, okay, well, look, we know you want more defense spending. We're cool with that. We'll give the Pentagon more and more money, all the money in the world. It's crazy. They'll fund the Pentagon $70 to $80 billion. They'll agree to that. But when it comes to doing Medicare for all, can't do that. No, we can't afford that. That's pie in the sky. Where are we going to get the money? They've got the money. They just don't want to spend it on regular people. No, they want to spend it on their defense contractor buddies because guess what? They get campaign donations. They get their checks. Anyway, there's more. On the domestic front, right? Democrats are insisting on $60 billion. So wait a minute here. So the demand was parity, right? At first. Now the Democrats are like, you know what? We'll just take 60. We're going to give the military $70 billion, and then the next year $80 billion, but we're going to only take 60. What kind of negotiators are you? You are terrible. Terrible. But wait, there's more. Negotiators are also floating potential changes to mandatory spending, a budgetary gimmick to further dodge the strict gaps on discretionary spending. Now, that could mean that they could pass programs with bipartisan support. Oh, hey, look at that. Oh, okay, maybe there's something good in here, right? What kind of programs are they going to try to get with these budget gimmicks, right, to bypass these caps on spending? VA Choice, which is private sector healthcare program for veterans. This gimmick would move that to the mandatory side of the budget for good. So there's mandatory spending, there's discretionary spending, right? So what they're doing is that they're saying, well, we're just going to go and give more private money for a privatized VA program. You know, instead of funding the VA properly, we're going to instead give more money towards this private VA, this private sector health program. So, hey, look, our corporations got to make money somehow. More public money going to more private corporations. Wonderful. Now, what about DACA, right? Again, DACA is not part of this agreement, but there is a separate negotiation going on. Well, the reason that they should tie this in is the fact that without DACA, they lose leverage. Now, here's the thing, right? Look, Republicans have already come up with their own plan on DACA. Again, 70 to 80% approval among Americans, right? So here's the Republican plan. They want $30 billion for a border wall, right? So that's going to be in any deal that they go with. Okay, so that sucks, but Democrats, again, don't know how to negotiate. So immediately, like, we're going to give you money for the wall. Now, Chuck Schumer yesterday, he said, well, you know what? That $25 billion we already offered you for the wall, and we're going to take that back. It's going to come back on the table, and likely it's going to be the full $30 billion. Watch. Now, on DACA, they proposed, in exchange for that, a 3-year extension to DACA recipients that would be reauthorized by Congress. It would also include no chain immigration. You can't sponsor family members, and of course, an end to the lottery system. So this is a deeply right-wing draconian immigration plan. So they're going to bring that plan, and the Democrats are going to bring some weak sauce program or weak sauce offer to the Republicans. And so what are we going to get? We're probably going to get a very weak DACA that has to get reauthorized, which means more partisan fights instead of a permanent fix, no pathway to citizenship for these DACA recipients, and in return, we're going to have to give them more of their draconian measures. That includes funding for the border wall and more border security, on and on and on. It's going to end up in the deal. Why? It's because Democrats are paid to lose. Yes, they'll get some small concession, and when they do, they'll call it mission accomplished. And for all the other stuff, they'll say, what can they do? The Republicans had us over a barrel. We don't know how to negotiate because we suck at it. Until the next fight, of course, over the budget, which, of course, in which the Republicans will, again, ask for more and receive more and more. Why? It's because the Democrats have no spine. They will cave again and again and again because it's what they're paid to do. They are controlled opposition. Look, if you think Chuck Schumer, if you think Nancy Pelosi and all these Democrats actually care about the Dreamers, no, they don't. And they've shown that by dropping this. Their only bit of leverage that they actually had in these negotiations. Look, we need real progressives. We need people who are actually willing to fight for their what they believe in. And it's pretty clear that these establishment Democrats don't believe in anything except for the money. So we got to vote them out. We got to primary the hell out of them and actually vote in real progressives who are really going to fight for, you know, our priorities, American priorities. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.